What's up, everybody? This is the Amine Dojo episode 28. I'm alongside Chris this evening. Happy Halloween to everybody. Hope you're having a good Halloween. Chris, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, Brandon.
That was great. I love that. We have a couple things to get into tonight. We're going to get into two news items, or one news item, the charts, and one kind of topic that's been kind of going around the internet, around Twitter and stuff. So we'll get into those, and then we're going to get into two very, very good episodes of one, Dead Mount Death Play, and the other, JJK. Ladies and gentlemen, once we get to see both these episodes, we're doing a full deep dive for both episodes because Dead Mount Death Play did something they don't normally do. They haven't done it in a while, and it's kind of great. And then JJK was just fun. Like right now, JJK has been so much fun because they have all these different fights and everything. So we'll get into both of those. But let's kick this off with the news I think going around the internet. So we're gonna kick this off with a news story from Anime TV that is saying that we're getting a reveal for the Demon Slayer Hashira arc on December 10th. This is kind of interesting because I wonder what this reveal is going to be. Are we getting a trailer? Are we getting key art? What are we getting? So, Chris, what do you think we're getting in this reveal on December 10th?
I hope at least we get a trailer. Like I would like to see a trailer, and then I want to see a release date of the next season. That's what I want to see.
Okay, I agree with both of those. For the trailer, how long do you think this trailer? If we get a trailer, how long do you think it need to be?
About 4 to 5 minutes.
Oh,
that
wow.
seems to be the standard now, bro. Like every time Disney or Marvel puts out a trailer, the full trailer is like 3 to 5 minutes that they've cut 3 or 4 times to make 4 or 5 different trailers.
Yeah. The only reason so I tend to agree with you on both points. I tend to agree with you. We need to see a release date. I think we get a trailer. I don't think it's going to be 4 to 5 minutes. I'm going to say more like 2 to 3. Because I don't think they want to tease everything for this. And the Hashira training arc is kind of a slow building arc. It's only, I think if I remember correctly, based on the manga, it's only like a couple, like maybe 7, 8 chapters. It's short. The only other thing I would want to see, I think if you're going to do a trailer, you're going to have to either show, I think with the trailer, you're going to do one of two things. Give us the opening song or give us the closing song for the anime. What do you think about that? What do you think about that?
Interesting. Okay. Now, the thing is that even if they do give it to us, we probably won't recognize it until the actual anime comes out.
Correct. I think that would be the best.
Early.
I think that would be the best tease, technically. If you gave us like a 2-3 minute trailer with the opening or closing song and a little bit of like what's going to happen in the season, that's fine. If you give us like a 4-minute trailer, 4 to 5 minute trailer, I don't think you need the opening or closing song because you're going to show us a bunch anyway. So either route's good for me. I just think the lesser of the two routes are going to be the problem. Maybe the one we get.
Yeah.
Alongside, you said release date. If this comes out December 10th, what do you think that release date will be? Take an estimated guess if you had to.
Like June, July, August.
Oh, so you're saying 6 months from that release date, basically.
Yep.
From that reveal. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, June,
within
July.
6 months. Within 6 months.
Within 6 months. So basically, you have from January to June or July to show it off.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would say the same. June, July. I have a weird hunch if we don't have anything for the first part of January or February, I think we might get it in March at the earliest.
Okay.
March at the earliest, June end of June, early July at the latest. And that's only because I think if we have this news out now, that tells me they're already making the end. They're slowly making the anime.
Well, the anime is probably in production. They're probably in the middle of like enhancing it and stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah, it was an interesting news story that brought up. Me and Chris are both Demon Slayer fans, so knowing that they're gonna reveal something for the harsher arcs pretty soon, cool. I'm down with that. That was the one big news item. Now we're gonna get into something kind of more interesting. So there's an article on Anime Corner or Anime Corner News. So this article was talking about this past Shield Heroes episode. I'm not going to spoil the episode. Won't do that. I'm not going to do it here. If you haven't watched it yet, don't. I'm not going to spoil anything. But I will talk about something. I will talk about the ending sequence of the episode because the ending is the people are getting word about. So and spoilers ahead, so you can mute this for a second, pause, whatever you want to do, and then I'll say something to come back into it, so we don't. But basically, the main characters are all at this bar, and they're just kind of talking and having this conversation that then deals with all the major characters. So you have your the spear hero, the shield hero, the redheaded princess, which is called something else in the show. I'm not going to say what it is, but most people know the name. And then you have the blue-headed hero. I forget what weapon he has. Technically, I think it's a sword. And she's trying to seduce the blue-headed hero, and she's kind of saying the red-headed hero hasn't been nice or anything, all this kind of stuff. Well, then this conversation devolves to a fight. The blue-headed hero blows up the bar roof, and he teleports out. Then Fee is on, dancing on the stage thing, kind of just being happy and dancing and making the crowd feel happy and everything. And then the spear hero is kind of down on his luck, his head down on the bar, and just kind of looks up at Fee and kind of just sees her smiling. And Fee walks over and hands, she gives him a cracker or something. I forget what it was, like a cracker, like a little donut or something. Puts it in his mouth and say, "Why are you sad? Be happy." And then back to back, 3 times back to back to back, he says, "Fee, Fee, Fee," and Fee gets kind of jumpy, kind of scared. And then Shield Hero says, "I'm glad you're back in a good mood, but we need to get ready for the next fight, so go train your butt off and leave." And that's where the episode ends. The controversy around this is the fact that people think Fee is a young kid, which, yes, she is, based on the show. And the spear hero is a grown man. As a grown man, you shouldn't be looking at her in that way and all that things. But I'm gonna let Chris explain what he has to explain first, and I'm gonna bring a counterpoint to this because there's something that you must know about this anime. And
Okay.
A lot of people are up in arms because a lot of people think this is not a great life for Fee, and it's not a great life for Spear Hero, even though both characters are old. Like the Spear Hero is like in his 20s, and the Fee is probably like somewhere around her like 40, like 30s or 40s, even though she acts like a kid because of her magical powers and all that. Chris, now I'll let you explain. Sorry.
So basically, it's like the way I was explaining to the Brandon, like, I don't want people to get into their feelings, but people are in their feelings. Like, here's the thing, like, Philo, like, we know in that world that people, their body ages or matures according to the level that they're at. So, but we also know when it comes to Philo, because of the race that she is, that her appearance is forever youthful.
Mm-hmm.
And furthermore, now, that's one pin in it. The second pin is that the spear hero has always had a crush on Philo.
That's what I was going to bring up. Back since the season one, episode like I'm gonna say like 5 or 6, or even or later, a little bit later. He's always had a thing for Philo, even though Philo doesn't even like him. She thinks he's scum.
That part.
Like it's a weird thing because I get it, and it's supposed to be. So the thing about the scene, and I will say this, watching it because I did watch it. I'm a huge Shield Hero fan. I've read a couple of the manga books. I think it's a cool series. The thing that this was supposed to do is supposed to be funny. It was supposed to be a funny little thing, and yet it was funny, but also a guy down on his luck. So it's like they kind of blended the two, and it ended up being funny because, yeah, the Spear Hero is kind of not a great person. The girl he was running with wasn't great either. She's still kind of pretty lies her way through things, cheats her way through things, and makes all the heroes' lives just a utter mess. That's the point. So she's the bad guy in this, not the Spear Hero. But the Spear Hero felt like he had a connection with her, and then that just broke because of everything that happened. Ultimately, I'm like, Chris, get caught up in your feelings. It is an anime. I do understand it. I do understand I kind of understand where people are coming from, but also if it was in the manga and intended the way in the manga, if that's the way it's in the manga, if you read the manga, why are you worried?
That part.
Like, I ultimately think that's going to be the bigger deal. If you read the manga, you understand where this is coming from ultimately. And maybe it's changed a little bit from the manga. Like, there's things they updated or moved or made better. Yeah. But it would still like have the integrity of the manga there. The integrity of the manga is there.
Well, take it a step further. Like, if the people just wanted to be just wanted somebody to be mad at the illustrators, and then when you get mad at the illustrators, they're going to turn around and tell you, well, you do better.
Yeah.
So unless you can do better,
Yeah.
what else can you say?
This
Absolutely
is
nothing.
But this is also the same thing I'm gonna bring up because I remember. Do I remember? Was it Demon Slayer? Oh no, me and Chris talked about this, and Dion mentioned this. We talk about it all the time with Dead Mountain Death Play. By the way, get up, Dead Mountain Death Play, episode 15. One thing we talk about Dead Mountain Death Play, which is still kind of something that they actually fixed in this episode. We always thought his power. We always thought, how do you only have a little magic left? Because it doesn't make sense to what your story is trying to tell. But here's the thing: me, Dion, and Chris all know. The point is, that's how the animators and that's how the story is told. So there's a story plot reason for it. So thinking about the Philo thing, there's a story plot reason for what is happening because there's already been back in the season 1. There's a reason for it already. We've already seen the first signs of that. This is no different. And I think that's the thing I think people can get caught up in, way characters shown, where a story is being taken, where characters are being, different, lenshled. Here's the thing: if you can do better, like Chris said, you can do better than the writers, than the animators, than the
Have
people
at it.
who make the panels. Go have at
Do
it.
Do it.
Try.
Because
But
they made an anime that not only made a manga but an anime, and they making money off of both. What are you doing with your life if you can do better?
And I think the article. But here's the thing: I'll give Anime Corner News, Anime Corner. They do their due diligence, so they did the credit. They did write the article in good faith. It isn't a bad article. I get why it's written. That was the same thing with Oshinoko. When Oshinoko came out, one of the episodes in Oshinoko was very hard hitting, and it did something it touched on something that was very like real world, and it got people kind of talking. But that's how the show is. That's how the show is portrayed. Go
And
ahead,
let me
Chris.
bring back up something that had a lot of controversy in his first episode, and it's the episode that Brandy you just recently watched.
But yeah, okay. Of Goblin Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But here's the thing with
Now,
Goblin Slayer. I'm sorry to cut you off, but here's the thing with Goblin Slayer. That served a purpose to prove you the goblins are nothing to mess with. Also, that served a purpose because he found out the guy who can beat the goblins, just do that. He just does that. That's his whole thing. But also it also served a purpose because you also proved if you're not a great adventurer, don't do that for your first quest. And the funny thing is, the other side of that coin I'm going to bring up, and it's one that nobody thinks about. And it's funny, this didn't get a lot of flack for it because Shield Hero is probably not going to get it. Shield Hero didn't get a lot of flack for it, but I know a show we all watched, we watched prior, Hell's Paradise. Good example of that. Hell's Paradise does a full-on same type of thing with one of their episodes with one of the main characters, and it serves a story purpose. And that story purpose is to build up to understand this world around the world in the anime. So I don't really. It's two sides of the same coin. It's calling the kettle black. You really have no reason. You can't be angry when there's other shows that have done this before.
That part.
I will say this. Only reason I brought this up because I saw the article and I kind of read it myself, and we kind of talked about it prior. We will probably do an episode later down the road once Shield Hero is done, and whenever Dion can get back with us, where we are just going to talk about not people being offended of way certain, not people being offended about certain scenes or certain way characters act, but I just think the way things are, I think the way people see anime and see why did you do this? What was the purpose of this? Why do people get up in arms about this? Because I think ultimately you could nitpick multiple animes in this season for certain things easily. No questions asked.
Easy.
Because I can give you one for Girlfriend. I can give you one for Shield Hero. I can give you one for Mushi Tensei, which I'm pretty much at the point of turning point 2. I haven't watched it yet at that point. Mushi Tensei got the same problem. It had a lot of that problem when it first was airing. When it was airing on Crunchyroll every week.
Every week.
Well, like One Piece has there's nothing safe anymore. And the ultimate thing me and Chris always talk about, I think, is the fact that, hey, this is watch what you like, but also understand not every anime is for everybody. And not every anime is going to be for everybody. That's the point. At the same point, understand these people who make the anime, the people who animate it, the people who write it, the people who do all the voice acting stuff, all that. They're making a project they care about and they enjoy and they understand. Yes, we're going to make some tough decisions how the project works, but it's their own works adapting a manga or a visual novel or whatever. And they're making it into a show that's interesting to watch. So, like I said, I wanted to bring it up because it was kind of interesting. Like I said, we will talk about that down the future as well, somewhere down the future. But it was an interesting topic. We could really get deep on this, and we're only scratching the surface.
We can only scratch the surface while still having fans.
Yes. Yeah. We're only scratching the surface on this because I didn't really want to go deep down into it, but I just want to see. I had a question in mind, but I was like, nope, can't. Me and Chris talked about we can't do the question because the question's kind of too deep. And that's one of those things. I give these guys deep questions, and I've gave them deep questions before. So, yeah, that's that. But like I say, I mean, if you want to read the article for yourself, I would take on Anime Corner News on Twitter. They have the full article for it. It's actually a pretty good read and actually gives you a context. But the context there, I think the context is there, but I think also if you watch the full anime, if you watch the anime to this point, you know the history between the two characters, and that's the main thing. Everything else after that doesn't really matter.
No.
Let's get into the other thing from this week. These anime charts. And ladies and gentlemen, these anime charts have switched once again. And I'm gonna just say this right now: we're gonna have a switch every week from now until the end of the fall season. That's the guarantee. So we'll start out with Fear Beyond Journey End. They went to 1. The Apocalypse Diary came in at 2. JJK came in at 3. The Enemies in the Shadow season 2 dropped 3 spots. They were at 1. Undead Lucky rose 8 spots. Here's the big one. Dead Mountain Death Play rose 10 spots. Spy in the Family rose 1 spot. Dr. Stone dropped 3 spots. Berserker Glutton dropped 2 spots. And Crimson dropped 4 spots. Chris, what do you think about these anime charts? The first one to me is Dead Mountain Death Play dropped 10 spots. That tells me people watching this show.
Bro. Because, can't say what I want to say about Dead Mountain Death Play because we're about to watch it. But holy cow, man, did we call it? We said this chart was going to fluctuate. And this, bro, like, if it's one thing that we call for the season is this. It is that it will fluctuate week by week. But we also said that we think it's going to start to stabilize by here about, when things got to start to get to about episodes, 6, 7. So, man.
What is your biggest? Well, okay, I'll put it this way. What is your biggest surprise from this chart? Because for me, there's 2. Dead Mountain Death Play going up 10 spots, but now that also dropped out Shangri-La. Why do you think Shangri-La dropped?
Because Shangri-La kind of dropped away from the action, remember?
Oh, he did more storytelling. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised Fear Beyond Journey is at 1. I actually didn't think it was going to hit 1. Because the enemy in the shadows season 2 was at 1 prior, so it actually dropped 3 spots from that point. I'm like, wow, that's kind of insane.
Beyond Journey's End has been the most consistent show this season. We have seen it consistently in the top chart.
Yes, we have. Undead Lucky, I'm happy to see. Undead Unlucky, I'm happy to see get back in the top 10 because I think that show is interesting. I might watch that after the season, after it's done.
And did you know that is a Hulu original anime?
Oh, it is? Okay. But isn't it also on Crunchyroll?
Yes, sir, it is.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right, then.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was. I thought it was on Crunchyroll, too, so it is both. That's kind of cool. That is kind of cool. That's good. That's good that the original one is actually doing well. So that tells you it's well done. Spy in the Family jumping 1 spot. I'm happy about that. That Spy in the Family episode was pretty good. Berserk and the Glutton was the other one I was weird about. It dropped 2 spots. Is that because we're losing the same problem with Shangri-La action, not enough action?
Yeah, because remember they kind of started with action and ended with story.
Okay. Okay, I have a question for you. So this is actually going to be interesting because I'm going to say that this question might be kind of weird, but there's a reason I asked it this way. The way this chart is with everything on this chart, do you think we see Dead Mount Death Play stay on the chart next week?
Yes.
Ooh. Explain.
I can't explain without our viewers seeing the episode.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. That's fair. No, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's ultimately fair. I get why. I would have to say same. The only reason I say it because I think with Dead Mountain Death Play, I think people are seeing what the good in the show is. I'm actually surprised it jumped 10 spots. No show would normally a show like and Undead Unlucky jumped 8. So something doing right. But I think the one thing we'll see next week come back in the chart. I think Shangri-La comes back up. I think Shangri-La. Well, I don't say Shangri-La. I think Shangri-La comes back up, but I also think the other thing that will come back up. There was something at the bottom of this that was kind of interesting. I forget the show was called. I also think Shy will slowly come back up in the top 10. I think it'll hit the top 10 one more time as well.
I think so too.
That's one where I think it's up and down. The action's up and down too, but that's also one I think people will watch. I'm gonna make a bold prediction, and this might sound crazy, and I'll explain after we watch the episode for the first thing. Dead Mount Death Play. I think next week, Dead Mount Death Play hits the top 5.
Okay.
And I actually think it's gonna be. And I'm gonna go one step further. I think it hits the top 3.
Oh, okay. Now you pushing it. Okay.
I think, and here's why. I think that new show that went to 2, The Apocalypse, I don't know much about it. It just started, I think. JJK is going to be in that weird spot where I think we're getting a bunch of fights now. And all the fights are good, but I think 1 or 2 are fans are going to fall off of because it's just going to be a bunch of action and not much story.
What?
And I
Well,
think
so you're talking about the Apothecary Diaries. Now I heard that is pretty good though. So
I think Apothecary Diaries will stay up there. I think Fear Beyond Journey will stay up there. I think JJK drops. I think JJK drops only because I think we're getting so many fights now, and all the fights are interesting. I think it's just a lot of action, which I think people are going to get tired of and annoyed of very quickly with 1 or 2 episodes. And we still have this is only we're 7 episodes in. We still have 10 episodes to go, my friend. Like we still have all November, all December. So it's not going to be like. I think it's going to hit top 5. It might hit top 3. If Dead Mount definitely hit top 3, I think people are really watching it now because it's ramped up. And I might be crazy for saying that. I know we watch it every week, but
it's okay. Because all the other shows we're not watching, we give them just as much credit.
Yeah, we do. So we're gonna get into this Dead Mount Death Play episode, and ladies and gentlemen, this might be one of the crazier episodes we've seen in a long time. Only because this show, 1 minute can make you think, 1 minute can make you smile, can make you laugh. You can have a couple interesting dialogue things in here and there. But this week they said, you know what? We ain't gonna throw a couple chairs at you and a couple tables. We ain't gonna give you the whole pasta. We're gonna give you the pan, the dishcloth, and the sink as well. Like they literally threw everything at you.
The kitchen sink.
The little kitchen sink, and it didn't. And I say, I'm figuring you say little kitchen, but like they literally gave you everything. And this is one of the few times where me and Chris are like, we watched it together prior, and we're just like, did they literally just like answer everything?
Everything. Yep.
So we're gonna watch it. We're gonna kind of talk through it as we go along, and at the end we're gonna do a full review. And at the end of the full review, I'm gonna mention something because Chris has something to mention about the question I answered. So you'll come back to that too. The reason I say top 3 for the week next week because I think this episode clarifies a lot of stuff from this season overall. So I hope you got all your. I hope you got all your 0-0s up. I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Chris, you ready?
Ready.
All right. I will say this. There's a couple things you need to be looking out for. Some of the dialogue here is very interesting. Some of the character motions are very interesting. And also, we get, like we did last week, we get a quick screen of like one little sentence or something that is going to have some bearing later. And we're going to watch the end because this is one of the few episodes where this has a full-on, and I'm saying this now, jobless style ending. So that's going to be fun to look at as well. But let's get ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So this basically leaves off with the cop and the police chief talking, and Solitaire is talking, or not the cop, Solitaire, the police chief, talking about something. Solitaire is mentioning about jokers and things, using cards as a way of Two-Face. I hate to say it, this is probably my most played song right now. I've played this song about
Really?
hundreds of times. It's my most played song. It's literally my most played
Mine,
song.
mine is Shangri-La right now.
It's between that and Shangri-La. It's like they're both up there because they're where they're played. They're where they're done.
I think
Because it's
I
not just
played I played the one with the Shangri-La intro in the car with my niece,
mm-hmm.
and and I think she looked at me upside my head like, "What are
She was
you
like, "Wait,
doing?"
how does this work?"
She's like, "You listen when you're not listening to R&B, you're not listening to rap, you're not listening to jazz, you're listening to metal, and then they're speaking half English and half something else." My niece's face was what was
Yeah,
going on.
but that's how you strong Shangri-La's opening is because it's a metal song just done in English and Japanese, and
Man,
this is a club song. Like this song here is a club song for me, but it works because it's split between English and it splits a little bit of English and Japanese, but mainly stays in Japanese. And the way they do it is all ladies, and it works. And they really balance out the song here, so it works out. The fake. There's only one small detail I'm thinking is kind of weird. Wouldn't he be bleeding out by now?
no, not really. They closed up the wound. When he
Okay.
poured that soy sauce and stuff.
Okay. So the soy sauce acts like a cauterizer, basically.
Yeah, it's like putting salt in the wound.
Yeah. Okay. I love how we're just getting a fight to start this, and they're just talking back and forth. I love the fact he mentions your leg would be if your leg is shaking, you're scared. I love they mentioned that here because that's not something you would really mention. By the way, this music kind of goes hard at this point.
Right, it really is the system tone.
And she just comes in with a kick to the neck.
Man, say
Wait, he said missing C, and he said Slock team in his nose. So did he use his full name? Her full name?
yep.
Okay, that's interesting. What's going on? You about to lose. I love this changes everything because he feels like he was gonna win, but then he now thinks, "Oh, I thought we killed her." That's
Yeah, started seeing some supernatural stuff.
yeah. He really thought things. I love the fact. Can I make it out of here alive? The answer to that question
Yes.
is maybe. Your long legs are gorgeous and sexy like a model. Are you trying? That is a weird line from her. It's just a weird line.
She's being herself.
Yep, she is. She is being herself, which is a good thing. It's just like, huh? That sword can reach pretty long, though.
A long sword and then pair with somebody who got long limbs. Yeah.
Yeah, that reach is insane. That's the point. That's the point they're trying to
Yep.
make. I love the fact she's like, "We can team up. We're getting 1-on-1."
Either way, we'll be fine with her.
But it's funny though. But the funny part is they've both already took him on 1-on-1, and they both can't beat him 1-on-1.
They probably well, she probably could, but she can't really just go all out quite yet.
No, she's a vampire larva, but she's already between. She's already that strong. By the way, I love his line before this fight, before they got back, before they went to Pokey. He says she has no heartbeat, so he even knows something's up.
Hmm. And then he's recognizing that their clothes even has a way to make him look like he's moving faster than what he is.
She literally threw her arms at him.
Yep. And he like, you can at least try to hide it.
Yep.
And here he goes starting to get worried.
Hmm. Wait, so he wants to tell him,
Yep.
boy, you should have gone to Pokey right away. Why did you detour so much? I love you said, can I have a small favor? And I'm thinking, wait, what's a small favor considered for a pen? Follow this conversation. Follow these conversations now because they're all over phone or just different things. These are coming handy later. It can't be. I love the fact that one line gives away who it is. He says, yeah, I told you to check your phone number and stuff regularly. The granddaughter of the industrial. Her parents' experience. She got caught up in a kidnapping case. Saw the cop was vanished in that building. They kidnapped. Oh my. I love how he wants to meet in person, thinking he's still alive. Oh, fuck, no, that's a lie. Oh, he says dragged in. So the whole thing with Carice was an accident then? Okay.
You must know. Because, I mean, he been sitting right there with Poker the whole time.
Yeah, so that tells me what the reporter found out is true, the kidnapping, but Carice wasn't part of the kidnapping case. Something just happened where she got wrapped up in it on accident. And the prime minister. Do you, you know the funny part about this scene? Why don't the police chief just shoot him or cuff him or do something? What's the point with the conversation? Because he can call anybody he wants.
You didn't hear anything I just said, did you?
No, I didn't. What'd you say?
I was answering the question.
Oh, you might have paused. So, because here's the thing, like the police chief has the ability to call any cop he wants. He's in a building where a lot of cops are. He could literally just
No,
call
but
a bunch of cops.
okay, but look at where he's at. The, Solitaire is sitting behind his desk. So any button, anything he has behind his desk, he doesn't have. And then in
Correct.
Japan, they don't carry guns the way we do, so he doesn't have a gun on him.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's fair. That is fair. Okay, that makes sense. It's just interesting because that whole conversation can be null and voided pretty quickly with a cell phone. But he has a cell phone on him, so I'm like, you could technically call any cop you want. You know what I love about this, by the way? He didn't cut her. He didn't cut her in half. She just tore herself apart. to make that opening, which is actually kind of interesting. You pulled it off, but what just happened? Oh, stabbed me through. Yeah, so she let herself get hurt. She knew it was going to help win.
So he didn't really see, but he can't tell. But she split her body in half. He can't tell, but
correct.
Yeah.
Wait, he's like, you let him run? Why?
I mean, they had their hands full. Shoot.
They had their hands full. I'm like, what are you gonna do? You can't go catch. You can't keep both dudes like that. This is another phone call that comes up later, so keep that in mind. And that's the funny thing. He said it's a personal call. That was the weird thing about that. You still live inside us. Oh my. Okay, that's a line. Hey, my name's this. So
we
this
know
is,
he's talking. What? Yeah.
yeah, he's talking. He's talking. Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's my only question with this. So, how did Solitaire leave the police chief's office just unbound? Like he didn't have he didn't no resistance. That's weird.
The same way he magically leaves every place else.
He just kind of just like poofs out, like throws some poofs out.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And yeah, get back to your point because I think I know where you're going with that. That is still creepy. A bird with a pen in his neck to talk.
That is the most creepiest, Halloweeniest thing I've ever seen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you want a Halloween episode? Here you go. But definitely just gives it's not Halloween, but it gives you the creep factor. And how's he using the bird's motors? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you use motor skills?
Some questions aren't meant to be asked.
So he doesn't believe a word of Solitaire, what Solitaire said.
And see, he's telling his partner about Hosoorogi.
Yes, he is. So this looks weird because that phone rings again and he walks out. We're like, who's he? Is it? And then they show this guy again. Why they show this guy again? They cut back and forth. Something beyond the world's laws. And this gives away he's talking to that dude in the room, but he doesn't. We get let on.
Brandon, you can't give him the story, bro.
I know. This was. I'm the guy.
Now you can say it, Brandon.
This little scene here is shocking because who he's talking to is the guy we met early in the couple episodes ago. Senior commissioner. By the way, this is technically the end of the episode, but it keeps rolling, so we're gonna keep rolling. And they start playing a very creepy song, as you can hear. We got a new player to this game. Next episode is called The Matriarch. So that was episode 16 of Dead Mount Deathplay. I'm going to go through this, and I'll say this. This episode was so much fun. So let's kick this off. They leave us where we left off. They leave us with Solitaire and the police chief. And Solitaire's kind of talking about Jokers, the card, the Joker, and how there's Jokers have two sides. And he talks about the Jokers are not unique. They're kind of the same. Then the episode probably starts after the opening credits. After the opening credits, then we get this such a fun scene. After the opening credits, we get the bodyguards, the grandfather's one of his bodyguards, saving the tech dude and saying, "We need to get out of here. We'll talk. I need to talk to you. I need to ask some questions. We'll talk later." And then Snake Man comes back and he wants to fight. So they have this really interesting fight. This fight goes multiple angles, multiple things. And this fight, I have to give the assassin some credit. He held his own. But it's funny. The snake dude goes, "Why are your legs trembling? You scared?" He's like, "No, I'm not scared. I'm not even worried. I have a reason I'm trembling." And he just bolts out at the gates and literally does this like Sonic levels of dashing. Like he dashes across around the building around that dude and almost hits him pretty good. But then the snake dude beats him out of it. And then out of nowhere, Vampire Girl comes back and says, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna help you out." Kick the dude in the neck, and then they stand next to each other. Vampire Girl and the tech dude. Then we cut. So we cut to Pokey and the Shark Girl. Shark Girl says, What is Vampire Girl? What is she, a larva? What's going on?
Yeah, vampire larva.
Vampire larva. She's a vampire larva, And Pokey mentions that she can become more of a vampire as she gets stronger. The abilities will get stronger. Oddly enough, the assassin kid says before we cut to Pokey and them, he says she has no heartbeat. So he even knows something. He knows something's up, by the way. He ultimately knows something's up. He ultimately knows something's off about her. We'll come back later. As they continue talking, Pokey says, you need to tell my bodyguard everything. And I said I will. He said he will. Which, by the way, that makes no sense when the bodyguard could have gone to Pokey at any point. Because Pokey would have gave the information anyway. So you with the long route, still a long route, but you're getting there. And then the pen taps on the table and goes and writes something. Goes, can I ask for a small favor? Oh, we're gonna cut. We cut back. We cut back to the fight. This fight's just fun. This fight's just interesting. One point, before the fight even starts, the assassin and the vampire girl girls, we can work together or we can fight them separately. However you want to do it, I don't care. So they work together, and then they keep going back and forth for a bit, and then they figure out how to finally beat him. But before they figure that out, we cut to the guy that's with the snake dude, and he's kind of just like, he's gonna lose. I need to get out of here. This is not going well. I'm in danger, and he wants to leave. Funnily enough, he now is scared because he doesn't know what he's facing. Because the reason why, he's like, how is she still alive? How is she walking? How is she in my presence right now? Literally so much fun in the fact that she's standing there in their presence and they don't know how that's happening.
He even calls her Solitaire's apprentice.
Yes, he does. And he says Solitaire apprentice, which is even funnier because like Solitaire has no apprentices, nothing, nobody. And then Pokey even mentions, I think we cut back to Pokey for a second because I think it's in like a quick scene. Pokey mentions, oh, her body will just turn into bats when it gets hit randomly. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough.
That's not a cheat skill.
That's not a cheat. That's not a cheat skill. Okay, cool. So then we cut to, this is where it really changes over. We cut to the blonde hair cop, and we cut to, actually we do one thing. We do before we cut to the blonde hair cop. We cut to the police chief and Solitaire, because police chief Solitaire they have this talk, and basically Solitaire is talking about pawns and the levels of people, and the police chief goes, wait, hold on a second. There are players in this game. We're all pawns in this. I'm a pawn to the next level. I'm a pawn to the safety committee. They're a pawn to this. They're a pawn to this. They're a pawn to the prime minister, the PM, and they say prime minister, which I thought was interesting. So they're all pawns to this, but they're all players. We're all pawns to the citizens. So basically, all the citizens are your pawns. Solitaire, and Solitaire's like, indeed, but he's also like, wait, but, and Solitaire's like, wait, why do you think that? Why would I? And then the chief just stops me in his tracks and goes, wait. So ultimately, you messed with the prime minister and did your little trick. I ain't gonna forgive you for that. And basically you do that again, you're done. So try anything, and you're done for. And then they show Solitaire. Soul's like, well, I got him talking. I got him talking. Fair enough. Leave scene. That's all he wanted. So then we cut to the blonde-haired cop, the black-haired cop. They're in this this conference room. His phone ring. This is the chain of events where phone calls come kind of pertinent. I will not explain every part of this phone call because the blonde-haired cop's phone call with his former partner is the longest. A regular phone call is pretty short, technically. So he picks up the phone, and the person on the phone call says, "Did I tell you to change your number very regularly?" And he's like, "My former partner? What are you?" And then they literally show the bird on the desk with the pen in its neck, and the pen is talking through the bird.
And I mean, that is the most creepiest thing I have ever seen.
With the magic that he had, with the magic that Pokey's using from the stones, I assume, and a little bit of his own magic. We don't really know. And then they have this conversation like, hey, I'm gonna, I have some things I need to tell you. Here's the things I need to tell you. Basically, this happened, and the blonde dude's guy like, can I come see you? And the guy's like, well, I'm not in my normal state. I'm not in a state where you can. And then they cut to Pokey and the shark girl. The shark girl goes, yeah, annoyingly, he's not lying. I'm like, I mean, you're seeing it firsthand. I'm about to say, you're seeing it firsthand. A bird with a pen in its neck that's talking through a phone to another person. Yeah, no, he can't come see him. That's not happening.
And I mean, even the voice was just creepy on top of it, man. Like,
yeah, the voice is creepy because it sounds like the cop, basically, but for a little bit, it sounds like the cop. It's great. So then he says, well, I know you're dead, so I can't really come see you or anything, but I'm going to avenge you. I'm going to do whatever I need. And then this is where the pen goes. Then they cut real quick from this conversation. They cut to the reporter girl, who I didn't really think had any plot bearing in this episode, in the last episode, but she has a lot of plot bearing here. Because we get an article that talks about Clarice. And talks about Clarice and what happened in her past. She was in high school. She's the head of this family. She's part of this family. Her parents just disappeared randomly. She was caught up in this kidnapping case. And the funny part about it is they give Clarice's real name, which is like Jenny something. We don't know how it became Clarice. We don't even know how that made the change. But the reporter's like, I got something on them now. And then she sees the cop was involved in all this, but the cop didn't. And the 2 and 2 are put together. The cop and Clarice are connected. And then we cut back to the blonde hair and him talking to the bird, which is a former cop, on the phone. And he says, I don't want to get Clarice is getting dragged into Clarice. Clarice? I don't care about Clarice. Why are you talking about? Basically, the blonde hair cop says, why do you care about Clarice? Why? And it's funny, I don't know if he knows the full story between the cop and the Clarice, or his former partner never told him, which is interesting. But I think it's
like he never told him.
Never told him, which is interesting because that means now we're getting this interesting thing of like, do I go tell Clarice what's going on? Do I leave it? And then he also mentions the note that he got from the note that he gave him. He even says, do you still have the note? There's clues on the note kind of thing. From the previous episode, all those clues. And then he also says, hey, we'll talk again. And then, we'll talk again, but I'm going to do, he'll do everything he can. So they hang up. Then they cut back to Pokey and the bird. Pokey, the bird, and the shark girl. I can't believe I'm saying the bird, which is the former cop, which is weird. It's a pigeon. And
his name is also Rogi.
Yeah. And the former cop says, thank you for letting me doing that. I couldn't tell you everything because if I did, it would have made y'all, it would hurt y'all more, and I don't want that for y'all. So he was being considerate because he knew all the information, but he didn't want to tell them because he knew what was going to go down. Kind of, which is weird. So then he's like, okay, cool, we're fine. At this point, this is where it cuts super fast. So before we get back to we cut from the conversation. We cut the conversation to the blonde cop to the bird and everybody talking. Before we cut back to the blonde-haired cop, we cut back to another cop. This cop is the blonde-haired cop with the glasses, like Gojo in the younger life. That's the best way I can put it. And he gets a phone call. He ignores it the first time. Then we cut back to the blonde-haired cop. He gets a phone call. His phone call is from some different number. And the person goes, I did something great. Here's the greatness I did. By the way, I'll give you a hint. My name is this. And the blonde-haired cop goes, Solitaire. And he goes, correct. And Solitaire goes, correct. And then Solitaire tells him all this stuff he found out. And then, by the way, this part here was really short. So we think the whole conversation, they kind of say he says 2 sentences, then cuts away. And so then what we see again, we see the person calling the blonde-haired cop with the glasses again, and he finally walks out, answers the phone. Why this is happening? He cut again, and we cut to the guy in the ball cap. The guy in the ball cap's freaked out. The guy in the ball cap's freaked out because he's like, the girl's back alive. Snake dude is probably dead, and I have no protection. Thinking through all that as he's walking down this busy I don't know if he's going down to like the train station or something. We don't know exactly where he's headed. So he picks up, he calls. So he tries to call this person 2 or 3 times, and you think it's the blonde-haired cop's phone with the glasses. He thinks he's calling him. They trick you a lot with this because the way they did it, they cut back to him, they cut back to the ball cap dude, and then the guy that he called finally picks up. As they're picking up, as he picks up, he tells him this would happen. The girl's still alive. Everything's kind of gone downhill. I need protection. What can I do? Immediately cuts to the blonde-haired dude and the black-haired cop. They're talking down a hallway. They say, "You know what I've told you hundreds of times, right? I don't trust solitaire. I don't trust what he's telling me. I trust my former partner, who is now, I don't know how I talk to him. He's not alive, so I don't know how I talk to him. Spirits, something like that. He even doesn't believe it, by the way, which is funny. But you know the other thing I've told you?" And he tells the black-haired cop this. He's like, "True or false? I don't trust." He's like, you don't trust people that does this, and this. Cool. We get a context for that. And then as they keep walking, they hear a voice through a door. They stop. They listen closer. They listen even closer. And now we figure out the voice that he's talking to is the guy in the ball cap. Because the two are connected now. They slowly open the door. They cut to the ball cap dude. And you hear the guy say on the other end of the line, go, "Why are y'all in here?" And then you're like, "What happened?" We cut back. We don't cut back to them. We cut to the blonde-haired cop with the glasses. And he goes, "I told you not to call me." And it's him and the reporter girl talking. And the reporter girl goes, "I have some news for you. I found some stuff out about Carice and all this stuff." And then they go back and forth, and she's so proud that she found all this information. By the way, most of the information is probably public knowledge. So this is not right. This is not something you can find easily yourself. But then it was funny because then they're having the back and forth conversation. It's a short conversation. They hang up. Then we cut back to the blonde-haired cop, the black-haired cop, and they're talking to this dude. They're like, you were up no good. We knew you were up to no good. You did something very evil. You did something very wrong. You're the mole in this place. Everything. Then they literally cut. It's the commissioner of the police force. And you're like, wait, we've seen this dude before. He was in like a couple episodes ago, like 6 episodes ago, like season, like episode like 10, 11, 9, 10.
He was one of the people that infiltrated the building for the dead body.
Correct. So he's been shown off a bunch. So then technically, this is where the episode ends. Because the credits start rolling, everything is kind of you would usually get the ending. You thought you were going to get the explanation. Nope. No, technically, the credits start rolling. The episode is still going. The episode just continues. Literally, they did the jobless thing of like, oh, we're just going to keep showing you everything that's happened. We're just not. But this is all extra content for y'all to see before the next episode. Cool. Them definitely don't do many of these. They've only done like 3, I think, in the whole season. No, 2 seasons we watched. The first season, even in this part 2, they've only done like 2 or 3. So then we see Tech Dude, the assassin, and them talking. Tech Dude's like, "So it's all over. It's done. We're good, right?" And they're like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Where's the dude? He's gone." That's where he figures out the dude's gone. They're like, "Why'd you let him go?" And they're like, "What do you mean?" And they didn't say anything, just cut. Then here's the other one we cut to. I thought this was even more interesting. So we cut again. We cut, and then we're seeing. We kind of see a weird thing here because we see a dead body on the ground. We see a couple people around the dead body, and then actually, first, before we see the dead body, we see a lot of people come out from fire safety with umbrellas when it's raining. Then we see the dead body. This all stems from something. We don't know what. By the way, so then we cut from the dead body to this girl. This girl standing next to a wall with blood spatter on the wall. And she's facing, so you can see her, you can kind of see her face. She's facing out, not facing towards, she's facing the wall, but then she faces back towards the center of the area she's at. And then she tries to call somebody. She tries to call her brother. Who's her brother, you might ask? Her brother is the assassin dude, the bodyguard, the one that took them. Though this is the girl that took the money out of the bodyguard, the brother's bodyguard's account gives the little brother. So as she's trying to call him, it says the line you can reach. It's not in the area or not even close. It's not in the area. The phone's turned off. Whatever. But she's like, "Why, brother? Why are you not answering your phone? I'm your big sister. Don't you? I want to talk to you, and I'm worried about you." But as she's saying that, we see a dead body on the ground. As we're saying that, we see her just like blood spider behind her. The funny thing about this episode, I told Chris this when I was watching we watched the first time, was that sounds like Pokey's old, very old teacher from his past. The other thing it reminds me of, it's funny because did you catch this, Chris? The snake guy says, "Oh, your big sister would be, you're not like your big sister. Who is this name?" And it's like, wait, how do you know who she is? And then that's how the episode officially ends. And by the way, when they start the credit scene, from the point we see the credit scene to the point we get to the girl. So you see the dude walking, you see the ball cap dude walking, you see the police chief, and you see a couple other screenshots. While all that's happening, they play the most creepiest song you probably could ever think they would play, and it works. That was episode 16 of Dead Mount Death Play the Fake. Chris, I hope I gave a great explanation for that. What do you think about that episode? Did I miss anything?
Nah, Ray, you didn't miss a beat. Just I think as a team we need to do a better effort of keeping our names, the character names together.
Yeah.
But man, everything you said was spot on, bro. My favorite part was when the sister that always dresses like a shark. She when she had realized it's like everything that the pen was saying was not a lie. He never really told him that he was dead, like dead, but he told him he was dead as he knew him, which technically was not a lie, bro.
Not a lie.
That to me that was my favorite part.
Yeah, I do apologize for the character names. There's the only thing about this. There's so many characters to go through. There's so many people to kind of keep up with. It is hard when they add every character we've seen from this point in this episode.
You're right, man.
The only person we didn't technically see on screen, physically on screen, was Carice. That's the only person we didn't physically see on screen. Everybody else we saw physically on screen. Carice gets like the newspaper article, the internet article. That's her cameo, technically. My other question, Chris, what you say you like the part where the shark girl figures out he's not telling a lie. My favorite part of this, for me, one that I don't even expect. I ultimately love the phone call tag section. Literally, I love that because what it does, it makes you remember who you saw, who's on the phone, who's doing what. On top of the fact, it makes you also remember what they're talking about. So it makes you think of what they're actually talking about. Does these two things connect? No, these two. Okay, I think that's my favorite scene. But the other favorite scene of this, and it's a scene that is probably pretty innocuous. It's the fact you get to see his big sister, and yet it is accompanied. It's accompanied by the fire safety people, Firestarter. So you see Firestarter first, and then you see her, basically saying she's part of that group.
Well, I think she's the head of that group, though.
I think she's the head too. But you know what? So like she's the head, she's the mastermind of that group, which makes even more sense when it makes funny. It's funny when you think about it because wow, we haven't seen anything of her. We don't know much about her, but yet all the snake dude knew about her already. Flawless. Um, my question to you, Chris, do you think this episode? Do you think they overstuffed this episode, or you think this was a good enough pacing to give you every answer you wanted?
To me, they gave me everything I wanted, uh, and still kept the suspense. I feel like they found their rhythm.
Like when we were saying they literally threw the kitchen sink, they literally threw the kitchen sink. Like they threw everything at you, and they didn't. The other thing most animes would do, or most games would do, or anything with media, oh, they would hold your hand and tell you, oh, here's the person from this, here's the person from this, here's the person from this, here's the person you met early in this. No, they don't do it here. They don't do it here. They literally hope you remember who all these characters are and where are they all from. And oddly
Oh,
enough, it works because if you remember what all these characters are, what all these characters' motivations are, it works to a T. The only other the other scene I say I like so much is the scene with the assassin at the beginning, because the assassin tells Tech Dude as he's saving him, "I need to talk to you." But then you get the scene later where Toki's like, "I would," with the shark girl, he's like, "You should tell them everything so he knows what's going on." I will. Whenever they come back, I will tell them everything. But by the way, Poki's willing to tell you everything. Why are you going through all these steps to figure out what's going on when Poki's like legitimately going to say, I'm going to tell you everything. You're the only character that has no idea what you're trying to do, but yet it works because you're very clueless. And then my last question, Chris, before we go to our rating, or my last thing, Chris, before we get to our rating, you were going to mention something as the episode was going on. What were you going to mention? Because you had something you thought about and said, hold on to it until the end.
that was who was talking to who during the phone conversations.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, as you're watching this, it's kind of hard to tell. But now, basically, what happened, blonde-haired dude is talking to the pigeon, which is his former cop. The other blonde-haired cop who wears the glasses, the cool-looking glasses, he's talking to the reporter. The ball cap dude is talking to the commissioner, and Solitaire calls. By the way, he calls blonde-haired cop after he talks to the pigeon. So that's all your phone conversations and everything in one neat shell. I will say the way they cut this is kind of chaotic, but it works because you have to keep a watch of what's going on. If you don't, you're going to be lost.
Very much so.
So it is kind of a lot. And I also will say, I think my favorite character now, outside of Solitaire, is Vampire Girl.
Ding
She
ding
is
ding.
she is giving me. They're giving her mojo back. They're giving her vibes back. She is just amazing, and she's so much fun in this because she's just being herself. She can care
She's
less
always
what's
been my
going.
number two. She's
Huh?
always been my number two.
Oh yeah, she's my favorite in this because she's being herself and she's having fun. And it's weird because they gave her back her mojo of like, I'm just kind of gonna say whatever. She even literally just says at one point, "Oh, I like your legs, by the way. They're very beautiful. You have very nice long legs, sexy, and you're like a model." Random thing to say before a fight. with Snake Dude. Okay, fair enough. Then she goes, "You want to fight them together? We can fight them separately. We can do whatever." What? Wait. You both tried to fight them separately, and y'all both didn't do well. But now you could probably do better because you're a vampire. But still, that her character just kind of makes everything feel right sometimes. So before we get to the rating, I want you to get up JJK episode 38. And we'll get into that in a second. But Chris, what would you give this episode?
I would like to give this episode. I'm giving this episode an 8.2.
Oh, explain.
Bro, this episode was nicely paced, even with the action. The nice little switch around and the suspense. It gave me everything I wanted. Only thing now, I would like to see this anime do just a straight up fight scene where, like, now because now that the story stuff is great, just do save one episode where you do a straight up fight scene, and then I would start giving you nines. Like seriously, that's all I want.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
selfish, but that's all I want.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. This is tough for me. You're asking me if you're going to ask me to rate this, this is one of those ones where I've never had a hard time rating an episode where it's been this well done. But since you're going to press me on it, I'll give you this. This episode gets a 10. And I'll repeat that one more time. This episode gets a 10.
Okay.
The reason why you did the three things I wanted. One, you gave me a lengthy fight scene. That fight scene is technically like 5 minutes of the episode, 5-6 minutes of the episode, a little bit longer. Yes, is it cut over a bunch of time, cut over a couple different times? Yes, but you did give us a fight scene, full-on fight scene, up until the point where Snake Dude dies. Usually, we don't see the person get hurt or get killed or get hurt very often. They skip that. The other thing you did, you gave us everybody, you gave all the characters really good motivation for why they're all in this episode. The two cops you gave really good motivation for. The former cop that is his former partner that is now used the pigeon. You gave him a good motivation for being here. I'll get back to something Chris mentioned a long time when we talked. But the other thing you did, and the thing I think works for this episode, if you would have left this episode off with them finishing the fight, them just seeing the police chief, this doesn't work. The police commissioner, the two cops seeing the commissioner, this doesn't work. You literally gave us the end credit scene where you see the tech dude talk about, is he dead? You see fire safety. You also see the ball cap dude, and they go back and show you them talking to the commissioner and all that situation. Like, if you didn't do that, the ending of this episode would be pretty weird. You give us all that up to the point where you see his big sister and all in that context. It's just like, okay, all right. You made me think. I like it. I will say this. Something Chris brought up, and I have to give Chris a ton of credit. So if you did this from the Penn's perspective, the former cop's perspective as the main character, everything ties in together.
Like
And
right on milk.
And like, it's weird because if you think about it, yes, he's a tie-in with both the cops. He's a tie-in with the police chief. He's a tie-in with Clarice. He's a tie-in with Pokey because he's part of Pokey's party. He's a tie-in with Tech Dude. He's a tie-in with the vampire girl. He technically even has a tie-in to the reporter because now the reporter found the information. even though it's a very loose tie-in, it's a tie-in. Why would the reporter want to look that stuff up? Like, literally, the pen knows a lot, but he's not giving all the information up. And that's going to be interesting if you kept this going. How are you going to keep the pen involved? Because I think the pen asking for the favor now makes the pen a real main character for this now. And I'm going to finish off with this. I'm going to ask Chris before we go to JDK as well. What do I want to see next? The pen said something very interesting. He said Carice is about to get dragged into this. The next episode is called The Matriarch. So I have two scenarios. Either we see the grandfather and the son have a plan to figure out how to get the Pokey, or the one I want to see, Carice back at the bar. We see Carice have to figure out what she needs to do next. So I can't. Looking forward to either one, or we can do a whole story. That's the other one I think of about the big sister, the head of Firestarter. If she's the head of Firestarter, that's considered another matriarch of the family. Are we getting a story about her? I'd be glad. I'd be happy with any one of the three. Chris, what do you think we see next with the title called the Matriarch?
So I'm kind of like you. We're either going to see the woman in black, or the head of Firestarter, or Clarice might turn out to be uh Pokey's master too, because she seems to have a long history too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now I would like to see the grandpa dude, because that's my favorite character.
Oh, that's your favorite character, yeah.
But yeah, but and at the same, but we might see Solitaire. I think
Yes.
we're gonna start seeing more Solitaire.
Yes, we are. Me and Chris are both looking forward to the next episode because, like we both said for the first time we watched it, and I'll say here, this is probably the first time where the pacing worked, and it's not slow and methodical. It's not slow and methodical. It is fast, cuts a lot, which I don't mind all the cutting. If you cut a lot and give a reason for the cutting, cool. Cut for a reason. You did in this episode. Here's the thing. You started at a 10. You went to about 12 by the time this episode ended. I don't need every episode to be like that. I would rather you start like a 7 and get to me to a 10 by the end of the episode. If you do that, I'm cool. And I think that's what they're finding. They're finding their pace, they're finding their rhythm, and they can just go fast. They can get fast. They can start doing faster episodes instead of doing where we have a long segment where they're just talking for 6 minutes and nothing really happens. Oh, then we cut to another section there, just talking for 5, 6. That gets kind of boring over time because it's basically just dropping a lot of dialogue. This one dropped a lot of dialogue, but the dialogue played into everything else going on.
See, I mean, when it comes to mystery type animes, I am in 100% agreement with Dion when it comes to them being dropped all at the same time.
You rather have it all at once instead of over a week every week?
Heck yeah, because ain't no way you gonna keep a mystery and me in suspense for a week.
Yeah. That's true. That is true. So now let's get to we had our main course for this episode with Dead Not Death Way. Now let's get to dessert, because we're going to JJK Jujutsu Kaisen episode 38. This episode is crazy enough because it's 3 fights over. It's okay. So technically, it is 2 fights, and both fights are interesting. The way they do both are so much fun. So I will say 3, 2, 1, and then we'll get going. Chris, you ready?
Ready.
All right. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. So we're left off with where Mei was. Also, first time I watched this, I didn't know it was a guaranteed after the timer hits 0.
Yep, guaranteed.
Uh, by the way, did she get a hit here? Because you see her hand at one point. Okay, she
Yeah,
did. Okay, I couldn't tell because the way I thought, oh, did she when she came out of the thing, did she get hit or did she just threw her hand for trying to get out of the thing?
guaranteed.
Yep. I'm gonna ask this because they did in the last episode they did where he asked her that question. Is he just like one of her best like fault teacher like students, and he just like follows her wherever?
I do think it's something like that.
Okay, because he's a strong kid. I'll give him that. It's just like I'm just like what? Like I will say one thing. I would love to have the Kirk technique.
Yeah, boy.
Smart technique using your own shadow against you.
Just like Chicken Hamaru and Naruto.
Yep.
I do appreciate the camera angles.
I do love the camera angles, and it's like they did a really good job with this. Literally, that bird turned into a bullet, and then just pretty much destroys the animal. How convenient. By the way, if I saw her in a dark alley, I would run. Like that's basically what they kind of tell you. She's good at what she does, but also I don't think you want to mess with her.
I wouldn't run. I'd try and talk to her.
I would try to daughter, but also I understand like you know what you're getting into when you're talking to her.
Yep.
You be careful. It's not.
I mean, I just want to get to know her. I ain't trying to talk to her. Talk to her. Do 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 do.
You know what I would love to see? I know we're not gonna ever see we're not going to see it much. They need to get an orchestra or some kind of band to take that's like the top 8 anime openings or closings and just play them. Because I would love to hear a full band do Shangri-La's opening. I would love hear the full band to do part 2 of Dead Mount Deathplay, and I would love full band to do this with a choir. Like this would sound amazing.
Ooh, man. That would be something to see.
Only problem is half these songs ain't cheap. That's the only problem.
Not only are they not cheap, but you had to get a choir that can actually sing in multiple languages.
Uh-huh. And translating this to English and a couple other languages would be kind of difficult.
Nah, I wouldn't. You wouldn't translate the language.
Oh, you wouldn't translate that? Okay. Oh, you would leave it in. Okay, you would leave it in Japanese. I get it now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He must hate Gojo.
I don't know if he hate Gojo.
He's as I think they say Gojo's the strongest, but like this Zenin guy is like the second strongest grade one.
Yes.
Have you been drinking? Yeah. Yeah, you are better off alone, but you can't do this alone. That's the problem.
I'm sure he'll be happy he didn't run into that guy alone.
Yeah, I know. How do you already get across? How do you already get across there?
You forgot about his power.
Oh yeah, his speed is fast. I forget he has the fastest speed too. He was literally behind him at one point, so I don't get. That was really fast. You just got across. People have the 800s, thousands. Like you want that question? Why is he saying Hanami, which is the lady that has a rose on her arm? Oh, that must have been his like master or something. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it was like his friend, master, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's funny. I would say I want some of these characters. Give me that character in like a Mortal Kombat. I would gladly be fine with that.
Did you send me that meme? They was talking about why you can't put Mortal Kombat characters in other animes.
I did not, but I did see it. I know which one you're talking about.
Okay.
I did see it. I know which one. Yeah, where you're like, well, yeah, most Mortal Kombat characters could pretty much destroy some certain anime and certain animes, depending on the anime.
Which is the reason why they don't put Dragon Ball Z in other animes.
Nope, because they're overpowered against most other things. I love this talk because he's basically just talking about 4K and scaling and his power, but using TV as the basis. What? You literally are just using TV as a basis of talking about your power. That's your own culture. Wait, is it possible to have endless health?
It would suck if it did.
Yeah, it would suck because you couldn't beat him. By the way, I love the fact he's talking, but in that scene, his mouth didn't move. He's like grinning. He's like talking through his teeth.
Like he's moving so fast you can't see his mouth move.
Correct. And actually, I'll give him credit because if that's the case, that's cool because that makes sense. Didn't another anime try this trick where the person could like literally alter somebody's projector, their path, but it's set, but also see other people's paths?
There are plenty of animes that have tried to or have done different variations of that.
Variations of that. I like this variation of it because it's actually really interesting where they even say if he tries to break the cycle, it stops everything. So he has to go through it fully without knowing what's coming up next. I love the fact he thought he punched him in the gut. Nope.
And just like that, they trip.
Yep. They're on a lovely little beach. That's a lot of fish coming at you.
Bro.
If I saw that coming at me, I'm just running for the fort. I'm just running
And we're on where?
in the forest behind me.
But they gonna reach you there too.
I can run long enough to get out of their way, and from there I'll just. By the way, he's just walking all this, which is kind of funny. By the way, you could help them out and give them one of those berries. No, you won't. You gave her a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Yeah, you weren't expecting that one.
By the way, are those like Is that like a nunchuck staff? I've always wondered because I've seen the weapon before, but it doesn't look like a normal nunchucks.
Well, I forget what it's actually called, but you're technically correct.
Okay, that's kind of amazing. That's also kind of like, yeah, that'd be a little much. And Nanami is just pissed.
Yep.
He's
Doing.
just
Yep.
pissed.
He's done.
Wait, so he's saying is he saying Ichidori acting on his own on
Yeah.
purpose?
But he also said that he's kind of wiped out right now.
Yeah. I'll say for 70 years you don't look bad. 71 years old.
Nah, he said it was just one measly arm. But I had 71 years with that goddamn arm. Yeah.
I mean, I don't blame him. If you're gonna, I've had that arm for all my life. I'm not gonna let you just rip it off.
Bro, like if I can still stand after may God forbid my arm get ripped off, best believe with the other one I'm coming to kill you.
Yeah, that's basically what he's saying. I am not letting you live. that is the end of episode 38 of JJK. That episode was insane. And this kicks off with one of the actually things we didn't see from the end of the last episode. Maybe finishing the fight with in the domain expansion of that. I think it's a smallpox demon or whatever. It was basically a disease demon. And maybe they said
Smallpox.
it was smallpox. Okay, it was smallpox. I thought it was, but they go Ghetto says disease demon, which is he says smallpox, but I remember he just says disease demon after that. And maybe I figures out, well, I can't get caught in this because if I get caught after 3 seconds, I die. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna test it with my bird, which he did. Then I'm gonna test. Then if the bird works out, I'm gonna have my apprentice do it. And then she asks our apprentice, "Would you be willing to die for me?" He says yes. But are you sure? And she asks, "Are you sure me dying for you?" And he says, "Yeah." So he gets caught by using his curse energy. His technique is a shadow technique where he can make a shadow of himself at any point. That gives me enough time to beat the spirit. The spirit tries to attack her, but he slash her. She gets a couple hits at first, but then she kind of lays off. The spirit tries to attack her again, but then they use a projectile bird to finish off the spirit, which they mentioned that the bird she can boost the power of the birds, and they turn into bullet projectiles. When they do that, they automatically obey that, and they will not stop until they hit their target, whatever that target is. So basically, she can make her own projectile, any bird using her birds, but they are one-time use. So you're wasting birds to attack. That's like that. So that fight's over. They walk out the domain, and she sees Ghetto, who's still standing there, by the way, which is kind of weird. Kind of hoping she was not going to win, but now that she won, she wants to fight against Ghetto. That doesn't happen right away. We cut to the trio of Nanami, the Zoro clan member, and Mahito, who can't use cursed energy, but she can use cursed weapons. Also, as long as that team cursed with the glasses. And they're walking, getting ready for this fight. After we see them team meet up, I think the last episode. So they ask, she's not really happy to have the Zen clan member with him, but he's kind of made a point of, yeah, you're not ready for this girl. You need to get out of here. But, and she goes, wait, do you know he's been drinking? Drinking? Have you been drinking? And he just burps.
My boy was lit.
I was like, okay, yeah. We've seen you drink a couple times. They do mention like he had a couple before this part started.
My boy was wired up. He was ready to party.
Yes, he was. Which I don't know how. This is the part that I thought was interesting because then Nanami goes, hey. Nanami thinks to himself, I should have done this on my own. I'm better off. But he also thinks to himself, well, I can't do this on my own. Because if I do this on my own, I'm not going to be able to win. So they keep walking further in the train station, the building. And they find the spirit. The spirit's kind of big, but not really that big. You find out why it's not as big as it looks at the point. Then the Zen clan member just dashes over there, grabs him, punches him like one time, and he puts out his guts. I'm like, well, yeah, but also, how are you doing that? Being kind of drunk. I don't know how you're I don't know how you're using that power, but okay, fair enough. Then he asks how much you've eaten, and the thing doesn't respond. But then that demon, the little spirit, transformed into this like dragon octopus demon. And this is where the fight kicks off. This fight, by the way, is so fun because I think the way they use all 3 characters in this fight works. So then we start off the fight with the Zen clan member trying to fight him and kind of getting doesn't really get kind of overpowers him for a bit. But then at one point, he goes, you know why 24% per second is amazing? Do you know why 4K is amazing? Do you know what all these TV things are made? I'm like, are we just having a history lesson on TV now? It's funny the way they did this though. It works because his power is basically, in so many words, he can literally go through time at 24 frames a second, and he's on a set path. He can't break that path. If he breaks it, he freezes. But also on the flip side, he can use defensively, so he can touch his opponent, and his opponent's motions are always he can see his opponent's motions, but also break their path and end up freezing them as well. That's the gist of his power, which is a cool idea. I do like the way they kind of mention it here because it actually works out very well because they show it off a little bit. They even show at one point he goes through the sequence, stops, the octopus thing tries to punch him, but he's not there anymore, and then he takes over the fight. And then this fight goes on for a little bit. They try to keep hitting him. He finally has enough and puts a water barrier around him, but then the water barrier is just a way to get them to all attack him at once. As they're all attacking him at once, he does this curse thing real quick. The Zen Clemmer punches his stomach. He's kind of bleeding, but then he's like, you didn't get it. Oh, wait, he did. But how? And then we see this domain open up. Domain expansion. I think it's called Sacred something. It starts with the last thing starts with C. Basically, the domain is where he has a one-hit kill advantage, guaranteed, which is kind of amazing. And these little fish spirits will come out of the water, and you won't see them until they attack you. So every time you get hit, that's when you know they're there. They were having a tough time at the beginning with that, and this was actually a really cool, interesting way of like using domain and using the expansion and all that. So it was really fun, really interesting. Then as this fight's going on, our Zen Climber just becomes really strong at one point, just makes himself his own little small domain, and all these fish things are just going past him, which I'm like, if you can make a domain for yourself, make one for others. But they mentioned the fact that it's passed down from the family. So I was like, okay, fair enough. You explained it. Cool. Then they keep going back and forth, keep having the fight. She gets taken out and gets knocked out. Her little staff thing breaks. And as that's happening, she's like, you can't kill me in one hit. Wow, you can't call me weak if you can't kill me in one hit. But you know what? I'm gonna give you a chance, but come at me. She just comes at me Octopus B. I'm like, wow, okay, all right, you ready for a fight? Okay, cool. So she is about to fight him, but then water explodes behind the octopus dude, and you see like, wait, water? What the world? And you see Megami. Megami gets in the domain, and he throws her staff nunchuck looking weapon, which is a really cool looking weapon. It's fun. It's a very cool looking weapon, and they're ready to go at it again. So you have her, Nominee, and the Zen Clan member go at it one more time with this dude. They're going back and forth for a bit. Megami is holding up because he got into the domain and he calls for Nominee. Nominee saves him from a fish that's about to take him out. And by the way, Nominee is very pissed right now. Basically, this man is so mad. He took off his glasses. His hair is messed up, and he got buffer. that's how mad. And we saw that 2 episodes ago. But this is where you can tell when he's not happy. He just kind of goes off. So Nami's like, I'll protect you. Where's everybody else? Well, Ichidori went to his own path, and he's kind of out of it now. The friend the guy you had with us, he's out right now. So it's just me. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. Literally, it's funny the way they do that scene because it's like that's pretty much what happened. That's pretty much what he explained.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
okay,
That was pretty much it.
okay, fair enough. And so Nami says, I'll protect you. So Futsuguru has a plan. He's like, you know what? I got in the domain with a small opening. It was kind of easy. But getting out's harder. But I can make a hole big. But I can make a hole big enough for all three of them to jump in and leave. But I will stay behind. And Nami's like, you ain't staying behind. I'm not letting you do that. And Fujiguro is like, I have to do it. Basically going back.
I ain't crazy. Yeah, I ain't crazy. But yeah, I
No.
know what's needed. I know it's got to be done.
Correct. And it's funny, it goes back to a thing from season 1 and even the movie when Ichidori figures out why the principal asks him why he fights. And then he also asks him, are you willing to die as well? That's what it's getting back to, that sorcerers are willing to die at any point. So Megumi was willing to die at any point if necessary. So then Nami calls both the Zen Clan member and the lady back. Before that, though, the Zen Clan member's like, you ripped my arm off. That arm had 71 years of life in it. You're going down. Like he was like, I'm not happy, but I'll make sure I'll make sure I just beat you up and destroy you. So they're about to attack him. That's when Nami calls him back. They all get together. The octopus thing knows what's going on. He's like, I'm not letting y'all do that. I'm stopping y'all. Charges at them. Fuchiguru opens up the portal. Small portal, very kind of small portal, not big enough for they can all jump in, but it would be like one by one all together. But as they're about to do the thing, they do this like little like, I don't remember if you've ever seen like the X-Men cartoon where they do like the panels real quick, and the panels show up all their faces shocked because we're like, what they looking at? A guy jumps into the portal, through the portal into there.
Not just any guy.
Not just any guy. Toji jumps in the portal, and he's alongside them. Toji's about to join them in a fight that I don't think he wanted to be a part of. I think he wanted to go do something about his son. We'll see what happens there.
Like it really was just like a oh snap moment.
Yeah. So that's where the episode ends. First off, I'd like to give them credit. One, like Chris said, the camera work in this for Maymay's fight and the camera work for the main expansion for the octopus dude was amazing. The way they animated the octopus dude and his powers, the way he animated the Zen Clan and his powers, chef's kiss. It all worked. It all worked to perfection. Chris, what was your favorite part of this episode?
Of this episode,
Mm-hmm.
my favorite part of this episode was probably Maymay's fight.
Okay.
Because Maymay's fight was interesting. Like it was okay. You're watching a whole fight scene, and then you have to figure out how to fight this character. Not only does she figure it out, she comes up with a plan and executes it, and then it is flawless.
Yep, it is flawless.
Plan and execute.
I would have to agree. The May fight is fun. The May fight is probably the best fight in this. I do like the octopus fight, but the octopus fight is kind of drawn out and a little long for most of it because it's all just back and forth talking for a good portion of it. And the talking is not really doing. The talking really has no bearing on what's going on. It's just there. So, for me, that's the only thing I would probably not be so keen on. But the other thing I will say, the lighting for the domain expansion was beautiful. The bright colors, the way they use the light in that situation works. So you have like a darker scene with Maymay's fight, then you have a brighter scene with this fight. That the contrast works there. The other thing I was going to ask, what do you think we see next? Because I think we either see Choji get into that arena and he's going to join that fight, or he's going to try to fight his son. But then they're going to be like, we need to work together to beat him first. And if you want to beat your son, go ahead. After we can let you do your thing on your son, but not right now. Or does he tell everybody else, get out? It's just me and my son. So what do you think that next scene will be?
Yeah.
Or next episode. I say
I
some.
would like to see Bro probably team up with his dad just to have a fight.
Okay. So you think they're gonna team up to beat the octopus dude fully, and then they might fight each other?
He's probably gonna end up like quote unquote giving his son like a lesson.
Oh, okay, that'd be kind of cool actually. Like, look, teaching him
Yeah.
how to. Okay, all right. Um, like I said, we're only in episode 31 or 38. We still have a long way to go, and we're not even. It's actually kind of funny. We're 14 episodes into the season 2, but you forget half of that was being premature and all that. We technically only 8 episodes into actually 3, 6, 9 episodes into this part 2, this Shibuya arc. We still have 11 episodes to go, or technically it's 17 total. So yeah, it's, 8 episodes to go. So we still have a long way to go. I wonder how they're going to keep building this out. But Chris, what would you rate this episode 38 of JJK?
I'm gonna give it a 8.7.
Ooh, okay. Explain.
Bro, this was a good anime, bro. Now this story on this time is kind of the opposite of Dead Man Death Play. I would like to see them give a little bit more story, a little bit more context into what's going on. Like they have been true, in keeping up a fight with every episode. But now, okay, let's see a little more context. Like, okay, let's understand what's going on.
You're right. It's funny because thinking back, we have gotten one major fight every episode of this arc so far. Be it small or be it big, it's been one fight per episode. I also agree it's the reverse of Dead Mountain Death Play, where the storytelling has been kind of not on par. And I need more of that story to understand what's going on. But they do say that when people talk about the Shibuya arc, it is very hard to follow because so many timelines, so many timing things, and so many fights going on, and what's going on story wise is really kind of outside the back burner for the most part. But it is a harder arc to follow. But ultimately, I will say if I had to give this a rating, it would probably be a 8.1, so somewhere in there. So a point lower than you. But it's the same reason. The story, there should be more story. I think both fights were cool. The man fight probably did more explaining than the other fight. The man fight's like she tries to find a solution. She finds a solution. She beats the character, beat the spirit. The other fight, I think they tried to fight them. They couldn't. They were going to leave out. But now you have a new player involved. And Toji will help them fight them, or he teaches them something to beat this octopus thing. So yeah, 8.1, somewhere in there. We're only okay. We're basically 8 episodes into this, and we're only 5 episodes in Dead Mountain Death Play, and yet these are the strongest. These are 2 of the strongest episodes of the season so far, and yet at the same time, this anime season has been strong. So I have to applaud these animators and the people making these shows because y'all have made a really strong season this year across the board for anime.
Every board is crossed. Even the drama is good.
Yeah, it's like, and I'm wondering, did y'all do that on purpose, or is this just a thing where just the planets aligned and everything's just good right now?
I don't know because the lineup for next season is starting to look pretty heavy too.
Yes, I noticed that. I heard some tweets about that. I'm like, oh, the lineup for next season. I'm like, are we just gonna get like Chris mentioned, we're out of COVID fully for the most part, and so we just can get back into running. And now these two are just pumping out. anime like crazy, is that going to be the thing where this next year and a half, 2 years is just going to be anime bangers?
Could be.
Like, that would be insane. But let me know what y'all think in the comments for both these shows. Let me know what you think of Dead Mount Death Play episode 16. Let me know what you think about JJK episode 30, 38. We'll be back next week for episode 39, episode 17 of both these shows. This is going to be very interesting because now we're at the midpoint of both these seasons, and now we're going to get a lot of big things, I think. Next week, we're going to do something. We're going to go back to our regular thing where we're just going to kind of still do the full for Dead Mount Death Play because that story is still going on. And for this, I'll just kind of give you the piecemeal stuff. But I wanted to do the full fight for this because it actually had a good little ending twist to it. But also, since we're getting at the midpoint, we're also going to do our mid-season grades for these series, plus our top 3, top 5 anime of the season personally for us. Just kind of giving our thoughts about all these anime in general, what our top 3 or top 5 are. Just kind of tell y'all what we think of this anime season as a whole. So look forward to that. But I do thank you for watching. Hope you did enjoy, and thank you, Chris, for joining me. And we'll see you next week for the Amine Dojo episode 29. See ya.
Later, guys.